Hey, Stomp here. Episode 12. This week it's just going to be me and Jeff and Junior, and we're talking about STO automotive repair. And when I came to San Antonio, Jeff, better known as C10 Jesus, was one of the first people I met through a mutual friend. And we've been talking ever since and had a really fun time. And we went out to one of the first people I went to dinner with here, and sort of became friends over Facebook, which never happens, but it really did here. And then we talked for a while, and I start watching how he promotes himself on Facebook. And I asked him a long time ago if he ever wanted to be on, and he finally said he would. And so we got Jeff and we got Junior, and they're STO repair. And what we're going to talk about today is Jeff's 30 years, I think. 30 years, you said?
It's going to be 27.
27 years twisting a wrench.
Yes, in about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. How's that feel? Do you feel old?
Man, the cars, man. I feel it definitely in my bones.
So the hands hurt, right? You know how to rehab probably a little better than you did 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
You probably put your hands in something. Do you have to do anything for your hands regular?
I have my wife. She rubs them at night sometimes.
Very good.
Or hot showers. Hot showers helps. Or
you ever try ice?
Cold beers.
Okay, cold beers. If the cold beers in the hand, that works.
Yeah.
Dude, that works for me every day after work for a long, long time, dude. It's a great way to repair the hand or the mind if that's your nature, right?
Yeah.
So we need to talk about that though sometime, because I got some Deep Blue you could try sometime that's made by doTERRA, and it's like a super crazy thing. It hurts actually when you first put it on, real mentally.
Oh.
And then it'll wear you out a little bit.
Cool.
It feels good. We'll try that a little bit. I'll give you a little bit of that. I use it all the time when I'm riding the mountain bike and doing anything, because I'm 47. How old are you?
40.
40. So he's
Pushing 41.
He's a baby.
Two-time grandpa.
Two-time grandpa at 41. You were a busy young man.
Well,
this is his son, so this is one of them.
Yes. Yeah, this Jeff Jr.
So you don't have no grandkids?
No.
Okay, so he's young. How old are you?
Oh, I just turned 18.
18?
A month ago.
A month ago, okay. So you're coming in at the end of school. You got to figure out what's going on with school this year, and you're working with your father still.
Yes.
Okay. So did you have any, when you were going to school, were you taking any classes for automotive, or were you just learning at home?
I was just learning at home ever since, 13?
Oh, 13 years old. He's been helping me put transmission ins, motor ins, restore older vehicles.
Transmission was the first thing I learned how to do, not by myself, because I can't physically lift the transmission myself.
Sure.
So I had to have someone else, and it was always my dad.
Did he explain how the transmission worked in the car first? Or was it just like, hey, this is a transmission, this is a jack. When we use this jack, we have to be careful. Because I know when you're young.
Yes, it was
pretty much more like that because, back in the day when he first started helping me, it was at the shop. So, I had to be like as quick as possible as I could to turn around time.
Okay, we are. I thought we weren't filming for a second, then I saw it. Okay.
Oh.
So it was at the shop, okay.
So yeah, we had a quick turnaround time, and then it's hard to keep good help. So what's better than to have your son right next to you trying to teach him something, and then him later on down the line he can use it for himself.
And 13 is a great age for that, because like when I was 13 and we were saving money for a car, we were ready. We knew we were going to get one. Our older friends in the neighborhood had one. They were doing brake jobs. So we ended up, and I lived in a neighborhood that was full of dudes like driving like Chevelles and Novas and
Monte Carlos, Cutlasses.
Mustang Foxes. When they got a little bit of money and went to college, they bought the Mustang Fox because it was fast, and they would, like Ford, Chevy wars at school. And we were like the workers, like in the school, right? Like I could hang out with any clique, but my neighborhood, the guys in my neighborhood were mechanics. So we had Harry on the corner, and Harry had a boat shop, and he multiple boat stores actually and repair centers. Yeah. And he would bring the engines back to his house that were super old and antiques, and he would restore them. And he was like 80 years old, and he was giving all the kids in the neighborhood lessons on all the tools, and we would go to Harry's, and dude, you would hang out at Harry's for years. So
and just learn all type of shit.
Everything. And some of us stayed at Harry's, and some of us got paid by Harry. Eventually, right? So it turned into he was doing like a workshop for all these kids. Some guys had fathers that were teaching them too, and those were the dudes that had the man around in the neighborhood that were interested. I think there's people around that are willing to teach and want to show what they know. So the ability for you to fix something and not teach them is a tragedy. So this means you're a good father. That's what it means to me. This means that you have time to maybe slow your business down enough to groom a new person to have the future. So you're thinking long term. That's what it means to me.
Oh, I most definitely. That was the whole point of me starting a business, because I don't want to do this forever. I wanted to start it so that way I could leave it for them, so that way they don't have a rough beginning the way I did.
Right.
It's already started off. All they had to do was just maintain it and keep flowing in, you know.
So what's your idea right now if you could turn him over a business that you would want for him and he was ready for it? Let's say the scenario is right. What would be your magic, like oh, by the way, we call him C10 Jesus on Facebook when he gets kicked off for saying crazy stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
So if I start calling him C10 or Jesus or something, that's why. His nickname is C10 Jesus. So everyone calls him C10 Jesus, and that's his second profile. But I'll probably call you Jeff. But
yeah, most definitely. Everybody knows me by Jeff. But you know, if I'm in trouble, I'm on the second account. But I try not to be in trouble as much no more.
Right, he's pretty funny though. That's why Jeff's a good guy. He'll say what he wants. It's cool that you have a business. You can.
Man,
it's nice that. And we'll talk a little bit about how you schedule in Facebook in a minute, because I think it's wonderful what you do with Facebook. I think it's very smart, and I think as a two-man show, that it's very efficient, economic, right? Smart.
I try to get it to everybody as quick as possible, so that way, you know, keep the line moving, keep everybody happy, keep us happy. You know,
it's a pretty interesting setup, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to hear what C10 Jesus's your lineage would be to your son if he was ready for it, and you were, say, you're 40 now. Say you were successful enough at 55 to step back and say, son, you need to find somebody to run the business side, because I'm going to sit back here in this office and go to sleep every day at 10. I'm never leaving. This is my home. This is my castle. But you're taking it over now at 55.
Yeah.
What do you want to hand him? How many bays do you want? How many lifts? Do you want 10? Do you want 2?
See,
what is it?
That's the thing. That would be something I would have to think about on the way, how knowledgeable he is with certain vehicles. I work on a lot of older stuff. A lot of people these days, they want those newer LS models, computerized, the whole 9 yards. Well, then you forget about these older people that have all these classics. They're stuck with people that they can't take their cars to, because all these newer guys, they don't know shit how to work on these older stuff.
Right.
So then you get the pick of the litter sometimes. Sometimes you get a good mechanic, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get a guy that, like, he's good at this, but he's bad at that. So, I mean,
it's hard.
It's hard, man. It's hard to trust people, man, with especially something that's 30, 40 years old, classic car. You're going to go give them $10,000 and, like, you know, you hope you get what you're paying for, you know.
And you give them 10 grand, and if you can't get that in a window of a budget that's reasonable, maybe 10%, 20%,
you know,
maybe.
sometimes other builds are a lot more different than others.
Sure.
They're more extensive. Sometimes you can get far into it and shit, we have to tear the whole wiring out and rewire the whole damn truck or a whole car, or, you know, we put the motor in and the transmission in, or the wrong converter. You gotta pull the transmission out.
That happened the other day, right? I remember your face on that.
And that is a beast of the nature. Sometimes things don't go right. It's mechanical.
Yeah.
You know, things break, things go wrong.
So you're saying for a 1 or 2 man show to be doing newer cars is almost impossible?
Well, it's not impossible. It's just
you almost have to pick your market.
Well, not necessarily that. It's just the thing is, it's hard to keep up with the times. The newer the cars get, the harder it is to get the parts that you need to work on the vehicle. The newer the days they are, is making it harder for people like me, myself, small business owners, to get a hold of these parts, because you have to go directly to the dealer. A normal pigtail, for instance, 2 weeks ago I was working on a friend's grandmother, real good, nice lady. You know, I always try to help them out. You know, I try to treat my customers as family. You know, if we get that close enough, you know, if they're real cool people. So she needed a pigtail for a thermostat sensor, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Dealer had it. Told me, okay, went down there. Oh, it went from $60 to $140 something, almost $154 after tax. And this is something that you can't get at anywhere at any of the parts places or any stuff like that. So it makes it harder for people like me just to go like to Advance or wherever I need to go, whatnot.
So just the availability, even if the customer has to pay the part, which they're going to, if that's all there is, they're going to have to pay it or make a decision to get a different car.
Yep.
Even the ability for you to get the part at your house, doing it with two people, you have to plan your day.
Or maybe even it's mobile, wherever. Sometimes the car can't move and I got to go to them.
Right.
So it makes it even harder. Like you go to their house, they're paying you the diag fee to go there to fix their car. The part's not available.
Right.
You know who that? It's not my fault.
And we're just going to talk about the Facebook thing now. A lot of your work, how much of your work is mobile? Would you say?
Probably about 25% of it.
Okay.
It depends on who you are and what the job is.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll go to check it to make sure I can do it there. If I can do it there, I'll knock it out. If
That's
not,
the same thing you did with me. You came and did a pre-look at the garage. You did a little inspection. You figured out what it was. And then you came back and told me exactly what it was going to be.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting. So you do a little recon.
Yeah. Even with any vehicle, newer or older, sometimes you want to do a little research. Like, hey, you know, if you're not familiar with the vehicle, but like, I'm real familiar with the older Chevrolets. Anything from 2000, well, not even 2007 below. I mean, I can work on pretty much anything.
Okay.
Fords, so much here and there. A lot of Volkswagens, a lot of Audis. I worked on some Porsche. Some Maserati, some Lambos, Range Rovers. So I had my hands in a little bit of everything.
So you can do it up to a certain year at a certain point because you're available for the diagnostics and what's going on and part availability and where you can get them.
And exactly, and if the customer also wants to go forward with paying with that. A lot of these vehicles, you know, people, sad to say, they just let them go to crap because they don't want to maintain them.
Right.
They put gas.
That's it.
Hey,
it's interesting that you said 25% of your business is that, because I would have thought that would be most of your business, because what Jeff likes to do is he goes on Facebook and he starts scheduling out 3 days ahead of time. So he knows maybe a week, right?
Sometimes it depends on what it is. I build a lot of older vehicles for people, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But when I'm waiting for parts, I schedule either.
Oh, you're filling holes when you're waiting for parts.
Yeah, so I'm always constantly busy.
I know the secret now. That's the secret.
And then if I'm waiting for parts, that's when I do my my scheduling for doing the estimates for garage door repairs and whatnot.
Yeah, because he has two businesses going. It's not just the cars, right? I go to Main Street Garage down the way. It's like 3 blocks away, and I'll call you if something gets crazy and I can't figure it out. But what I did call him for when I saw it on his Facebook feed was the garage door service, and he came over and put in a sick garage door real quick, and no hiccups since. I mean, just great. We go in and out of it every day, and we've never had like a push button garage door, and that's really, really nice. And I think there's you would never even think about the install on that, because that's a little bit tricky. I mean, everything has to be hung right, and you got the sensors, and you got to sort of hide the wires.
A lot of it has safety features for children, you know, pets, you know, so that way you don't hurt them or the door don't come down on them. Newer models, older models. The older the model, it's hard to repair because of part availability. You know, after so many years, they're like, you know, that's obsolete. They only, you know, they keep moving forward. Some of these newer openers or doors, they come insulated, glass. They have cameras that come down there where you'll be able to see inside your garage.
How'd you get good at that?
Well, unfortunately, when I was younger, I got in a lot of trouble, so I couldn't get any jobs for anything. So a buddy of mine, a friend of my dad's, was like, "Hey, I'm looking for people to install garage doors." I was like, you know, it's whatever, you know.
That's exactly how you learn anything, right?
I just need a job.
Yeah.
That's how you're learning, right?
Yes, most of the time, that's how I learn it.
Hands-on.
Hands-on, yes. I can't really learn anything too much, like, if it's on a computer, more or less.
If it's on a computer, you can, but otherwise, no? Or you don't like it on a computer?
I don't like it on computer. I'd rather write it on a piece of paper if it's something like that.
Very tactile, okay.
Yeah.
I'm more
You'd
hands-on.
rather
Hands-on, you gotta see it, feel
Yes.
it. Is it click with you better when someone explains the process? Like if he tried to explain to me to put this transmission in, I would be always trying to explain how the conversion to the motor goes. Like the power comes here, and then it puts it down at the wheel here. Yeah. So this is the converter, right? Then the rest, you sort of know what's happening, but you don't know how it works.
You put it together like a puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So you put it in a little bit. You find out like first maybe like now everything's a sealed transmission, but back in the day you would check the transmission
Fluid,
oil. You check the fluids first. You would do everything, right? So it's cool that it's so crazy to me that at 18 or 13 you started figuring this out. So you got 7 years of experience right now.
Yeah.
When you go to fill out an application, you need to understand if you ever do go out and fill out an application that you need to actually start thinking of that as like an apprenticeship and what you learned in that time and what you can do as skills, because they're going to ask you your skills, right?
Yeah.
And skills are interesting. If you can change oil and work on AC and put it in a transmission, and you say that at a machine shop at 19,
yeah,
they may put you on a skill set to make machinery. I'll tell you a story about a friend of mine. I met him when he was like 22. He had just bought in like 30 acres in Georgia next to like a pretty busy road. And he had bought some shipping containers. And he buried the shipping containers. And he put a trailer on top of the shipping containers. And then he calls the ATF and he says, hey, oh, I forgot to tell you. The big part was at 18, he took some sort of test at school. I think it was the military ASVAB. And he had this aptitude for mechanics that was so high. Dodge Diesel Cummings calls him at 17 when he's in high school, and they started apprenticing him at 17 for Dodge Diesel Cummings in Atlanta.
Oh wow.
And then by the time he's 19, he's designing tool dies and stuff for they're actually stealing his ideas at like 18, 19. He comes to the Snap-on guy, and the Snap-on guy has a tool next year, and he's like, whoa, hold on. So he tells him how he needs this tool built, gives the guy a drawing, the guy comes back and starts selling the tool next year. The kid's a genius. He's just ridiculous. So by the time he's 22, he has all this money, land, shipping containers, buys the trailer, calls the ATF and says, hey, I'm starting a gun store, and opens up a range next to us because that's what his jam was, shooting.
So that's what he was using the trailers for.
That's what they buried the trailers, made in safes, and opened a gun store by the time he was 23. So he takes a test at 19 or 17, starts working for Dodge Diesel Cummings by 17, gets certified, dieseled out. He's on payroll by 18. He's done with the program. He went through it snippety fast. He was right there. Now he's working for Dodge Diesel Cummings.
Yeah.
He's 19. He doesn't need no money. He's got a girlfriend. He's very serious. He's been shooting his whole life and building guns his whole life since he's like 8. He's been building guns. That's what he wants to get into.
That's pretty nice.
So he had an ATF gun store by the time he's 23 by being able to twist a wrench well and then get into machining and then turn into a gunsmith. So this is where things go to quite quickly. And if school frustrates you as a teacher, you need to know that's okay. It's not the easiest thing for some kids. It's very hard for a teacher to figure out exactly how you learn. And if no one told you and you're not into it.
Yeah, because I've seen in school that most kids, they do like it when somebody helps them. But there's some kids that, like you said before, they sit in the back and just do it on their own at their own pace.
They're just trying to pass off and not do nothing.
I said in the back, I was talking about, I put the ones that walk around a lot in the back because I give them a place to move. What I was saying is those are kinesthetic learners. Those are guys that have to move. They have the hardest time in school.
They always fidget.
They always fidget. Do you fidget a lot?
Sometimes. If I'm sitting down for too long, I tend to fidget.
That's
but
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I fidget right now with knives on purpose, right? I know I'm going to get a little bit talkative and I know I need to listen and I always have to remind myself to slow down talking because I talk too much, right? So it's nice to have something to put you off a little bit.
Yeah.
To move your hands a little bit to keep your brain free, right? So
Yeah.
fidgeting is something I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. The mechanic thing, Jeff, is hard because your average person, right? I know a lot of people in St. Pete. A lot of people in St. Pete. I've been there my whole life, St. Pete, Florida. And I know one guy, one operation that I take my work to, and he is not even a full-on, full-out, like, go in the motors mechanic. He's not. He'll just do, like, the little stuff.
Yeah.
And then he can diagnose me, and then he has to point me somewhere. So I've been there for 46 years, and I don't even know a good mechanic in one place. So that's the problem with mechanics. So when you find somebody that comes to their house, gives you a good... Jeff gave me a great price to put in the garage door. It was a great price. He came on time. He did a little recon. It was in. It was out. I knew asking you to be on a podcast was a win. And
thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wanted to promote you to anyone I could in the San Antonio area, especially on the garage doors, especially in the cars.
Because we appreciate that, man.
Yeah, because we talk about like the end game, and it's always, for me, like the end game is always the land and, you know, the Stomp Strong thing moving, and the knife store, and maybe one day I don't have to be.
Don't have to work as hard, man.
Yeah, and when I'm retired, I'd like to have a bunch of businesses kind of making their own money too, right? So
that way you can relax and live comfortable, man. That's the whole end game. That's anybody's end game, you know.
Yeah, you would hope, right? Some people get stuck not talking about the end.
No, they just keep hustling and hustling just to do whatever it is, just to whatever, man. You know, there's some people they're gonna be lost, man.
Remember when we were talking earlier about where would you want to be in a shop? What's that goal for you, man?
Honestly, man, I don't think I would see myself in another shop working for anybody. Maybe me owning it, and then having my son and maybe a few other people I trust. Other than that,
so nice small operation.
Nice small operation. I don't want to be big no more. And that's what happened within a few years. I got too busy to where I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, we talked about that one night, and I wanted to allude to that. Jeff had a really, really busy operation and multiple lifts and
about 7 years.
7 years. So
it just got to the point where, you know, I had my brother, had my son helping me at times, but I couldn't keep any good workers to keep up with the steady business that I had.
Right.
I mean, we're working on anything from Porsches to, you know, a lot of Audis, old schools, pre-70s, pre-40s, you know, Chevrolets, Ford Fairlines, a whole bunch of lists of stuff. And I could go on and on forever.
Right.
And I wish that I could still have that area to keep working on those type of vehicles, but with working with those type of vehicles, it's also a different headache. So after dealing with certain type of customers and I guess their personalities, usually every customer that has a different vehicle has a different personality. And then I got to the point where, like, I'd rather not deal with it.
Well, you're talking about guys who are putting a lot of money into a car. They think they want it their way. They probably think they know how to do it. They want it done cheap. they don't want to pay.
You're trying to get, you know, you're trying to get a steak and shrimp dinner for a price of a Big Mac, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And that don't work like that. And then, but the thing is,
especially when you're building something that's destroyed. When you're bringing back something that's destroyed.
That, or you're buying something that's super high end right out the box, and you can't maintain it, and you're trying to go the cheap route. You can't do that.
Interesting.
You know.
Interesting.
You can't put no $4.99 spark plugs in a damn 2018 Volkswagen or Audi or whatever it may be. You know.
Right.
Every vehicle calls for certain type of stuff, and you can't just get whatever. You gotta, what it calls for, you use that. That's what's recommended. That always makes it runs better.
Yeah. When you're doing sometimes like the OEM parts, the only one you really can get, or you really should get, especially when you're talking about like screws and tolerances on screws for, you know, I don't know anything, but I know if you put the wrong screw on the wrong thing, you got a problem.
Yeah, well, if you cross-thread it, use the wrong threads or whatever, wrong screw, then yeah, you have a problem. But I mean, electrical parts, that's what you really want to more worry about. There's some other places you can get stuff online a little bit cheaper to save time and money.
So you can pick and choose certain things?
Yeah, you can, but I prefer always get everything electrical in house, where that way, if something's wrong, I want to yell at somebody.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm
Sure.
sure that if you having somebody pay some money to do something and it comes out wrong,
Yeah.
you
it's
want to
got-
be able to be upset or like, hey, I have questions. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of backing from the company is good, right? So if you're having to buy something from the dealership, you might pay a little more. It might be an OEM, but at least you can ask some questions.
Yeah.
And you can get it. At least they're going to have it most likely, right?
Yeah.
So availability seems to be a hard thing, and you've worked at the bake shop and had that, and you had the headache part of it and the business part of it.
I've worked at everywhere from the junkyard for about 10 years. I got into a few shops for about a year.
When did you? Let me real quick. When did you fall in love with it? When did you know this is what you were doing?
Man, I think it was. I think he was probably about 4 years old. He was about 4 years old, and you know, I was in a lot of trouble, and other places wouldn't hire me. Garage doors got slow around that time, and I had to get a job to keep feeding people. So I applied for a junkyard one day. I said, I have a box of tools. I know how to take off farts. And then from there, just learning how to take everything off from different vehicles from year to year to year to year. Started installing parts. And then, you know, older customers from high school or whatnot, they just followed. So
like
over the years, I built up a little small following where people would follow me for repairs, so that way they wouldn't go anywhere.
So you were doing it like as a hobby or fixing your own cars or with your dad for years and years and years. And then at some point when he's 4, so you're 18, 14 years ago, you started taking it on, working for a guy at a junkyard, fixing his stuff, and then started pulling jobs, and then eventually,
I just got tired of working for somebody else, and I realized that I can make money for myself and not have to have a boss.
you get the whole paycheck instead of just splitting it.
Bingo.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you got to, as a working for somebody else, you're not making the whole pay. You're not making it.
No, you're making them rich. You're paying for their truck. You're paying for their vacation. You know, whatever. And my son's been there. You know, he's seen it. He knows how much money we can make on decent jobs or whatever. And then versus him, where he used to work for McDonald's. He worked there 2 weeks.
And get paid $300 check at the most.
And then he see me work 4 hours and get made
2,000.
You know,
at most that I've seen so far. I know
right out the bat on something that's high end. You know.
Well, listen, man, you have skills. So when you're pulling out those motors and you know what you're doing and it's a certain time frame, I know for a fact when you had that problem with the transmission, you got jumped up and had to do it again. So the price you're giving turns into a hassle. You got to do it twice.
So you know,
sometimes there's problems, but you know what it is to a degree, and you know what it's reasonable.
It's a different animal that anybody deals with, man. It's a give or take. Sometimes things go bad. There's some things that happen that even within life, you know, you can't control it.
Yeah.
You know, the part's gonna break. The guy didn't show up.
Yeah, and Jeff's not working for free, guys. I mean, he's definitely. This isn't you call him because you want a deal. That's not how it works. He's coming to fix your car. He's gonna get paid what he's charging, and that's how it goes. And that's how it should go.
Yeah.
He's not charging you what a dealer would charge you to fix that car.
Not at
I
all.
can promise you that. He's not charging you what a guy would charge you with a big shop to fix that car. So, where do you do most of your work at the house?
As of right now, with everything that's been going on, I try to stay at home as much as possible. Try not to be around
Too many people
or strangers. You know, if it's somebody that I know that they're staying home or being safe, then I'll help them out. I don't have a problem. But if it's somebody I know that's not being safe, then like, I'm not even trying to work on your vehicle.
Right.
I try to be as nice as possible, telling somebody no, and then until I get to the point where like, hey, you know what?
Yeah, that's the fun part about Jeff's Facebook feed. You can go on there and hit him up, Jeff Garcia, San Antonio. Not a problem to find him at all. He's a very
I tell it like it is,
he's
man.
a very entertaining guy, and I personally love it, man. I love the comments. I love the Ford jokes. The Ford jokes have never stopped. I mean, it's every day for a year now, right? I think Ford Fridays.
John Wayne had a Ford once. It was the best damn wagon he ever pulled, man.
You see, Ford jokes all day long, right? So it's interesting because you say 30 years, and I'm thinking, okay, so you start twisting wrenches at 13, you start getting paid for it, but it's not. It's a development. It's a progression.
Well, it started off with lawnmowers, doing tune-ups and stuff. We lived behind a garage while I was growing up. So whenever,
You had your Harry.
I just, running around the neighborhood, instead of being around with the kids, I'd run over there to the mechanic shops, the guys working on the hot rods or, old school.
How cool is that? And how cool is that for you? You get to see...
I don't really get to see too much older cars, but I get to see a lot of older trucks.
What's your favorite?
I wouldn't... what's your truck? I like your truck a lot.
Mine's a 79 GMC.
Okay.
Yeah. But for cars, I like the 1972 SS Chevelle.
Okay.
That's always been something that I've wanted ever since I was a kid, because I like cars, but I don't see it as something for me when I grow up.
You don't see yourself as a car guy?
Not fixing them, not a lot.
Oh, you as being a mechanic, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about driving. What do you think of? What do you like in your mind? Say you had $40,000 to buy a car, nothing crazy.
Oh.
$40,000 to buy a car.
He'd know all day he'd buy that Chevelle.
Yes.
It'd either be
That's
black
what
or
I
it'd be
want.
red with
72 Chevelle?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are a car guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You just don't know if you're working on it forever.
Yeah.
Bro, that's smart.
It's
It's very smart
of
to
right
not
now,
know what
I
you're doing right now for the rest of your life, by the way.
I feel like that's something that I should be able to know.
Now?
Yeah.
Now. You're fine. Listen, you've already done more work than most people your age. To have an idea of what you're not doing or what you are doing when you're older is just anxiety. That's just you not knowing. Doesn't mean you're supposed to know. It's the very weird
It's a
dude.
part about life. You gotta learn.
Yeah.
Everything's a learning process.
Yeah, you're in the middle of rolling with it, right?
Yeah.
You're starting to figure out, and this might be a little presumptuous, but sometimes when I'm at line at McDonald's, I go and they're mad and they can't get their order out and they're pissed. It never happens at Chick-fil-A because they're always smiling, right? But at McDonald's, right, when they're mad and they're pissed and they're looking at you and they're smelling like grease, right? You look at them, I go, this is why you take school serious, right? This job is why you progress and work. You're gonna find a better job. Nobody stays here, and the only person that stays at McDonald's is the manager. That's it.
Yes, that's so true.
They're making $80,000 a year. So think about that. They're making more than the teacher. So McDonald's is, to me, I'm not trying to be rude to anybody, but to me, McDonald's is a place where you learn your role in the pecking order, and you need to go get a better job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how things work to me.
It's kind of like a reality check. Like, this is what you're gonna deal with if you don't get something that you want to deal with, and be comfortable dealing with it for a good amount of time, instead of just like, you're gonna fry this shit. You're gonna put this here. You need to be here at this time.
Even when I was like coming up, I always kind of figured out to try and get jobs that were super like interesting, or it was always the hookup. Like I got hooked up with the guy at church that ran the veterinarian, and I worked for him for 3 years.
Oh.
And then I got hooked up at a dude that was delivering some pizza, and he was like 20 and I was like 18. He's like, dude, you can make like $15-20 an hour driving your car. And I was like, what? So I went and I was making like 10, 15, 20 an hour delivering immediately at 18, right?
With tips and whatnot.
With tips and everything. And now I'm driving. I love driving. I'm a car guy, right? So now I'm getting, you get stuck in a job like that, you go to school, you drive pizza. I think I drove pizza for 12 years. I was a bouncer, drove pizza, and went to college for 12 years. And then when I finished college, I became a teacher. So it's but you figure out where to make the money. I knew I had to make more money. I wasn't, at the time it was $4.25 an hour when I got out of high school. It was $4.25 an hour when I got out of high school.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. So you get 10 to 15, $20 an hour on Fridays delivering pizza then? I promise you can make $20 an hour right now delivering pizza. No problem. No problem. So that's pretty good money. You ain't paying taxes on it most of the time. Most of it's tips.
Yeah.
Most of it's tips. So you have to figure out how to make money. Problem is, you work a job like pizza, you can pay your bills for the rest of your life. You ain't going nowhere necessarily for long, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have like that goal. I don't care where you're at in life. I don't care if I make $1 zillion this year. I got to have a plan 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Like your dad impresses me talking about the credit score. He brings up the credit score. The credit,
Oh man, dude.
the credit scores. Why is the credit score important to you?
Because man, a lot more stuff's more available to you without having to just work so hard for it, man. A lot of stuff, man, I bought back in the day, it was just cash. Now, I've got, you know, my decent credit score, you know, I can go in and get a car at a decent rate.
You know you're getting the land at some point. You know you're going to do a small, maybe 2 lifts garage, you told me, right?
Just so I can keep up with my vehicles and a few...
even if it's a private thing, even if it's for your house, right?
Yeah, it's just you know, just to keep myself busy.
House, land, a garage that he can have for himself. This is the plan that we talk about all the time.
That's the end game, man.
That's the end game. I talk about the end game constantly. It's at the river.
That's the end game. I just want to have just a decent amount of land to where that way if something were to happen with my kids, they have something to fall back on. They can build or put something small, double wide, whatever. I have my shop. I always have that. I could always work on whatever I want to work on.
Security.
Nobody has to tell me what time, what I can't do, when I can't do it.
You're 40, dude, and you already got that figured out. And you're past.
Dude, man, it took me a long time to pull my head out of my ass.
And you're past, bro. So your past is serious, right? So that was a problem. It's over. You get past it. And not serious, but it was a problem for you. And you get over it, and you come out. And at 40, you're already at the point, to me, where you're running your own schedule, a very successful small businessman. To me, this is super credible.
Well, I try to be as credible as possible. But,
Yeah.
you know, I keep my word, you know, as much as possible. If I'm going to be late, hey, you know.
Can you show your hat real quick to the TV? This says "Don't mess with Texas."
Don't mess with Texas.
And it's interesting because in Texas you can be a small businessman and go around and be a mechanic and pay your bills and not get caught up in all the bureaucracy of what has to be done for your place here, and you got to have a permit to be a mechanic. And so Texas is kind of wide open. I mean, I think if you wanted to do surgery in the back of your house, if you had the right place, you could probably do it. I mean,
you get in trouble or you get caught.
I've seen some.
Do it. You know,
when I drove down
why not?
When I drove down their neighborhood, there was a guy that has one of the best gyms. The best gym I've ever seen is behind a guy's house right down the block. Z Fit. So if you want to become a strong man, go call Brett.
A lot of people do that in-home stuff, so that way it's easier for them to go anywhere. They'd rather bring the business to them instead of...
Well, you're going out of house, but that's what I mean. You're a successful businessman not doing it the traditional way. Yeah. You're thinking outside of the box. And Texas lets that happen, right? So you can't... I'm telling you now, you cannot do that in Florida.
No.
You can be a mobile mechanic for a little bit, but it ain't. It has to be based on you were in a...
You have to be
at a shop
at a home location somewhere.
Yes, yeah. You're paying taxes on a shop somewhere. They're not letting you just do that. You ain't running around doing, and the people that do are all doing it on the side.
Yeah, I mean, you know, pay taxes and whatnot. You know, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. You know,
yeah.
Been a while since I got a return. I wish I could get one. I mean, it'd be nice, but you know,
you always got to pay extra to get the return. So you're right in the sweet spot. If you're just paying out a little bit, you're in the sweet spot then.
So, you know, I'm making enough to where we're happy, you know. We're not like the way we used to be back in, you know, when we first started off, you know. There were times where I went to work and I'm like, man, fuck, man, I hope a brake job or something comes in so I have gas money to make it home, you know.
Right.
But, you know, we're sticking through it, being dedicated and just working hard, man, and just being straight up with your work. Don't bullshit nobody, man.
What's crazy, too, is you're not having no slowdown right now, are you?
No.
This is a virus free business for you. I mean,
now I'm working on 2 builds right now. One for an Army vet and one for another buddy of mine. 2 different builds. One's a motor and one's a complete truck build. Okay. And then after that, I have 4 other people that are in line. So when I get like a week before finishing these 2 jobs, I'm like, okay, this is a round date where I'm going to be available. So you need to be able to bring your vehicle with parts, your deposit to get things rolling, and then.
So cool, man.
I don't want to kill myself no more, man. I just want to be working on, you know, what I need to work on to pay bills and just live comfortable, man.
It's smart. It's smart, dude.
There's no reason to go out of your way to kill yourself for something that you can't take with you.
No, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Do you work to live or live to work? It's a
big
big question. People. Do you work to live or live to work? So what he's trying to say is, I made a lot of money, and now I'm slowing down on purpose, so I can live a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So do I want to work to live or live to work, which is all I want to do is make money. It's
I gotta keep myself busy. I can't just stay home and.
but I mean, you're working, but you're not taking everything you can. You're not extending yourself on every
right
job.
Now, I'm at the point to where I got so many customers, I can just pick and choose. I can tell this guy like, no, I don't want to work on your car.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. I love how he how he schedules it, man. Like 5-6 days out, you're always figuring it out. And I didn't know at all that was around 2 builds that are always going sort of continuously.
2 big ones, and then I do small repairs in to keep myself busy and to keep the money flowing and whatever I gotta do to pay whatnot. But the 2 big ones are for me, you know, to do what I want to do with my truck or whatnot. You know, take the kids or everybody to the river or barbecue.
You like going to the river?
Oh yes, I do.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did the river thing once, and Jeff gave me a little recommendation, and man, it's a serious party on the river.
Oh yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
It's better to go during the week when everybody's at work and nobody's there early in the morning.
I gotta do
So
that
peaceful.
because I just like it's weird for
The
me.
water's a lot cooler.
Texas is strange, man, because the topography here, the caves and those cliffs, and it's just so pretty, man. We don't have anything like that. Florida's flat.
The more
right?
hill country you get, the better views you get.
Yeah, it's awesome. Beautiful out here. Let me ask you, what were you wanting to do if you could snap your fingers and be something right now? What would you do if even if the school was done and it was just you were able to go like that? Where would you be at? You said you're not sure you want to be twisting a wrench all your life, and that makes sense. You've been doing it for a while.
He likes the computer stuff.
Yes, I would try to go towards games because I'm very good at games. I play games. I mean, as of right now, it's all I can really do.
Right.
So
Besides helping me,
Yeah.
he plays video games, help me, and then
just put it on pause and
Chilling
just
in AC?
right back and forth.
So you would be like a professional gamer or a game developer, maybe?
Game developer because
okay.
I can rarely find any good games. So I
Interesting.
always thought of, what if I make one or like help make one? I could throw my ideas and then maybe actually get something good from it.
Yeah, I had no idea how you would start that or do that, and I think playing them and knowing kind of what you want is a great base.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna have to like just stalk somebody on Instagram that's
well,
really good at it.
That's with anything. If you want to learn to do something, you
gotta
have
figure-
to
you have
gotta
to
kind of
research.
watch or something. You're not just gonna go like, hey, I'm gonna be a mechanic, go to a machine shop, get an engine, and just like
It's not happening. Yeah, you're gonna watch.
You're using fucking roofing nails and a hammer to put everything together. You know?
Right.
It don't work.
It don't work like that.
No, it don't.
So, do you have any ideas how you're gonna get there?
School, college.
Maybe. Well, 18, you're not supposed to know the answer, by the way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I don't really know, but educate, I guess, more or less. I would think to go back to school, which is college.
Yeah.
So, as of right now, I'm just
Find out.
seeing what there is.
Find out. School is definitely good, but I think it's better. Like if I could give you advice, and I would say you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do, maybe pull as many hours as you can with your dad for 2 years. Look at a field of study, and then go. Okay. Maybe I'm ready to go back to college at 20. No one. I don't know. Very few people I know at 18 are ready to go. And then you have like 2 years of real deal experience where you have some money in your hand. And then you can figure out what's going on and have a little bit of little bit of
Experience.
Kind of direction or something.
Well, you've had time to. At 18, you're gonna get done with college here soon. You might want to move out. If you're not working or in school, he might start charging you $300 a month. Something's happening.
He gets a free year after they're done with school. They
So,
get
okay.
a free year
Okay,
to save money,
sort of
to
figure it out.
decide what they're gonna do, and then after that they get the boot, bro. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. When I was in college, I could have free rent at my mom's house if I was in school, and it was an incentive.
once if they're not
But
working,
if I
or
was
they're
not in school, I was paying rent.
they're gonna get the boot.
Yeah, working, I had to pay. It was my deal with her was school or that's it. So if I wasn't enrolled, it was like I think I paid $300 or $400 a month. It wasn't much. When I was 19, I moved out and got my own place, and I would move back in and out, as needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's normal. What I would suggest is you find out where you want to work in your mind. Like, say you want to work at like Blizzard, you want to be the lead developer at Blizzard. Like whatever the gaming company is, and then you start figuring out who that dude is, and then maybe you like
Back my way up.
back engineer it. What did he do?
Yeah.
How do I get here? Do I have to work in the stock room and then get on the computer at night? That's Helm Industries. called a mid tech. So he gets them all lasered. He gets them all lasered out, and then he puts the grinds on himself. So it's not a full custom, but it is pretty much a custom. I just love his work. It's so perfect.
Got a nice balance, so it feels good.
Yeah, he has like 3 different designs, and they have 3 different sizes for each design. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, we go out for when we go kayaking and fishing.
The thing about life is weird. I would always keep the job. Always keep your dad happy if that's where you want to work. If you don't want to work and you want to go to McDonald's, keep them happy.
No, not McDonald's.
Well, whatever it is, wherever it is, you got to keep that boss happy. And if it's not working out for you, have a plan before you move on, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have something.
The way I tell him, at least have a trade, man. Something that's gonna be around forever.
Well, this is the biggest thing you can do right now. I mean, to be a plumber or a mechanic is guaranteed living.
Electrician's
Guaranteed. And I think a typical mechanic is just going to be a Tesla mechanic in a few years. They're just going to switch right over. I don't think it's going to be a problem. They're still twisting wrenches and putting in.
Yeah, because somebody's gonna want to keep their classics, or
He might want to get a Chevelle and put an electric motor in it and be part of that Tesla club. Those guys do all that.
You better not do that.
No, kill you, right?
No, I wouldn't do something like that.
What's the whole point of having a hot rod doing that?
Right?
Yeah,
it's funny, but to know exactly what you're doing in life never happens. He's telling you at 40 what he's doing now.
Sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. I just wake up.
But he's telling you at 25 he had no idea what he was doing,
just
right?
Get up and just whatever happens, happens,
It's very weird to me sometimes when I think I pay a mortgage. Like I pay a mortgage. I'm like, I'm not 15. I'm 47. I paid mortgage forever. So it's a weird thing. Like I am an adult, but I'm not really not really in my mind. Right? I'm still like a kid sometimes in my mind. It's weird. It's weird. And what's the worst part about doing the mechanic thing?
Sometimes it's just collecting payment, or just even the customers themselves. Like I said, every customer has a different attitude, a different demeanor. There are some good customers and there's some bad customers. Right. And then just with talking with them within 5 minutes, you already know what you're getting yourself into. So sometimes I shoot myself high so I don't have to deal with them or whatnot. But sometimes they're like, fuck, I have no one else that wants to work on my vehicle.
This is it.
And I'm like, oh
my god.
Why am I taking jobs that nobody else wants to do? Because of this shit, Yeah. I mean, we've dealt with it, He's helped me with building old schools. Yeah. This guy had an old truck that he was like super attached to it. It was his dad's. He ain't been on the road in 13 years since his dad passed away. And he was like, I have money. I want to get it fixed. Make it running and driving, stopping,
The blue one?
No, it was the Ford truck.
Right?
Ford truck. The one that we had to do all the brake lines to custom.
Okay, I remember.
So the guy goes, it needs brakes and it needs some electrical work. So I'm like thinking, replace some pads or shoes. No, man. It was everything. Like the guy ripped all the lines out, all the wheel cylinders, all the brake shoes.
Oh my god.
Everything. So I'm building everything from scratch. This is a 56 Ford F100, so I don't know how any of this stuff is made. So, okay. Tried and error. First time, I was like, no, that's not going to work. So, after the first 2 times, custom handmade all these bent lines all the way from the front, all the way to the back. The whole thing, got it running, driving. It was about 2 weeks. Guy was happy. He's like, last person to drive this truck was my dad, and they parked on the field. Right. It was you the first person other than me to drive it. And I'm driving it home today.
Thank you.
He was happy about that. And the customers are super appreciative, and they're like, that's what I live for. I like making people happy.
Yeah.
And that was the whole point of me when I wanted to work on cars. Just like, hey, help people out. But then it turned into more. It got
it's awesome.
It just got bigger. But then it got also bigger to where I couldn't control it. Like, I'm just one person. Right. There's only one of me. I can't be here and in 5 other places.
It's a weird balance, right? I've never had a business that was a full-time business, so I'm always...
Dude, I I never thought any of this was gonna happen, man. I was, dead end jobs, working for other people, sofa surfing for a while, bad first marriage, the whole 9 yards. I've been through it, man, and just like, I never thought I'd see myself in the place I am right now.
It's awesome.
We're living good. I own all my vehicles. We vacation good.
Dude, you're always having fun, yeah.
We would have been on a cruise right now in Cozumel, but because of COVID,
Next year we'll plan one.
But man, I love to take cruises. That's my big thing. Love seeing stuff that you can only see on National Geographic or on TV.
That's awesome, man.
You're there in life, in person. You're seeing these things that you can't see unless you're there.
I would have never thought you were a cruise person. That's interesting. We went to the Bahamas too.
I love the beach, man. I love just being on water itself is just peaceful. I despise the city, man. It's just too busy, man. Just people are just shit ass people.
When I take you to St. Pete sometime for fun, you're gonna freak out because my house in St. Pete is like 10 minutes away from maybe like 15 beaches. So and they're world class beaches, and they're 40 minutes away from like 40 beaches. So we're on the middle of Tampa, basically on the water, like 10 minutes from the water.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to buy inland a little bit, so I couldn't afford it on the water. I mean, they're $1 million homes. When I bought my house, it was 120 grand 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So, but the water is important for me too. I feel very relaxed in it. It calms me. There's a lot of energy in water.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot going on in water. It's a huge thing.
Big stress relief, I guess, man. I mean,
I think like Rogan says it a few times. People that live on the ocean are more relaxed because they're next to the ocean. It's like the biggest thing on the planet. It will eat you. Every bit of it. You're fucked. If it doesn't go right, you're fucked. So that's true. You have to be sort of humble around it, right?
Yep.
And the people that get caught and have a problem on water are the ones that don't know or don't respect it. And the problems they have happen pretty quick. So
in an instant sometimes.
Yeah. We went on a cruise. I really liked cruising way more than I thought I would. I really did.
Yeah, I've never traveled. The first marriage, we went to the zoo. We went to Corpus. That was it.
Right.
Second marriage, hey, let's go on a cruise. We went on another cruise. We went to Las Vegas.
Let me ask you. Let me try and grill Junior here. Why do you think he did or didn't go on the cruises and the vacations of the first marriage?
Two different mindsets. Two people, like, I don't know how to explain it. Someone was stuck in one type of mindset that wasn't good for them.
Yeah.
And then the other person
have an adventure on your hands. So you have someone that wants to stay home and you have an adventure.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hard mix.
Me, I'm all about that action. I want to be doing things.
And the reason I bring it up is because as a person who's like young and seeing it from a distance, this might be your mom, I'm thinking, right? I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just assuming it is, right?
Yes,
so,
spot on,
okay, so as a person watching this from the side, you have a father-son dynamic, and you have this isn't working out, and me and her don't do well together, and I got to go, but we're still going to make it work, even though this sucked bad. A bad relationship is the worst thing ever. I'm telling you right now.
It's unhealthy sometimes.
It's horrible to not find yourself anywhere in life. If you're not grounded in yourself, like if it's always about somebody else and what they're doing, and you have to do this and have to do that, and you're constantly worried about what they're doing, that's not good. You need to be with somebody that's enhancing you, bringing you up, making you a better person.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, putting you in check.
That's what anybody wants.
Yeah.
Not just just one person. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
Be treated just like a person. Instead of just being treated like shit.
Same thing with the customers, right? You have the ability now to pick and choose your customers. You're in a good spot. It's not too big of an operation. Your overhead's not killing you. You're able now to relax and pay for it and chill. And I mean, it's every day. Every 3 days, you're talking about when we're going to the river. So you're planning the river trip on Monday. You just got back from the river trip. I think you go on Thursday sometimes, don't you?
I think Monday, actually, if my brother's off, we are trying to do some kayaking.
So yeah, this is Jeff's figured out life in a lot of ways, man. It's really cool to watch from the side.
Slow down, enjoy it, because if you don't, you never get another chance to do it again, and then you always live with regrets. Like, man, I should have done this shit. Do it.
It's crazy because you talk like an old man, sort of. You're 40, but you talk a little bit like an old man. Does he like do that to you?
Yes, he does a lot.
I grill the shit out of him,
Yeah,
man.
he
Because that's
does.
my job, man.
Yeah.
To make sure that he don't do what I did wrong.
And even if he does, it's not like you didn't say it.
No, man. You know what? I'm very proud of him because at his age, I was way worse off than what he is right now.
Well, he's obviously a good kid. I mean,
Yeah.
He's a very
I
good
mean,
kid.
I have
Yeah.
slipped up a few times here and there, but then again, who hasn't?
no, and you don't kill yourself over it, man.
It's a
You-
part of life, everybody.
yeah.
It's,
I'm not saying you blow off the wrong things you do, but I'm also saying you don't sit there and think about it and think about it and think about it forever. Like, I'll give you a for instance. This was probably stupid, but I realized I did it after I did it when Beth pointed it out. I was responding to a work inquiry about me coming in for an interview. And I said, give me a text back at 727, blah, 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 blah. And I gave her my phone number, and I said, give me a text back to a job inquiry. Now, to me, I know a principal is very, very busy and might not want to talk on the phone, most likely. And the way most principals talk is a quick text to tell you what's up.
yeah.
So most likely it's nothing. I haven't heard nothing. I gave this to her on Saturday, and I haven't heard nothing back yet, right? Or I gave it to her Friday at 10 a.m. Nobody's at work right now on a Friday, I'm assuming, in the school world. So then Beth comes in this morning, and we start talking about it. She's like, "You think that was a little bit informal, putting, text me?" And I go, "Maybe. We'll find out." And she's like, "What do you mean? You're not nervous?" I go, "Well, yeah, I'm nervous. It's in hindsight, yes, you're right. I'll never do that again. But I can't change nothing about that. This lady either wants a full-time sub or she does not. If she's upset with me because I said give you a text, I probably don't want to work for her. So this will work out one way or the other."
Yeah.
And Beth's like, "That's how it works with you?" I go, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You can just explain anything off you want in your head?" I go, "Well, yeah." She goes, "Well, guys do that." So yeah, man, I can't sweat too much about that. You can do what you can do. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, I'll be somewhere else. That's what's really gonna happen in life. You do not control everything.
No, I know that.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about? What's the worst part about the job? His worst part was customers. You don't have to deal with customers. What's your worst part? Him?
Him.
Him.
Him. Yes.
Picking up after me.
Picking up after you.
No, that's not the hard part.
What's the hard part?
Yeah, sometimes just dealing
Nah,
with
this is
Taking
him.
his instructions and understanding them.
He loves to answer. So you have a hard time
Understanding
communicating the direction. It's interesting. Because this is like this is a standard.
It is
This
a hard time understanding them. Is what they are.
well, yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you're never gonna win that one.
No, I'm not.
I'll tell you a story about my grandpa.
Like,
I probably bring this up every podcast forever, right? My grandpa was the hose guy. My grandpa had like a hose. It was hung up on a reel in the back of the house. It was before you could have like reels that were nice. It was basically like a stick coming out of the wall. And we would have to mow his grass. And you would have to use the hose every time you had to mow the grass. And if you didn't roll that hose back up, the yard wasn't done. And you're talking 7,500 foot of hose. And you have to roll it all the way out and pull it in and turn it as you're going. And you should have two people to do that. And as an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, there's no way you can do this. There's no way you can roll a hose up perfectly as an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay, so I never did it right until I was 30, 25.
fuck.
You understand? Where I
Yeah.
knew how to do it. Where you could get somebody, roll it, sling it. And nobody even knows how to do it now. When I have workers over, and nobody knows how to put the hose back right. Nobody knows that you got to twist it every time it goes into a circle. It's got to twist
Yeah, so
once.
that way it stays round.
So it stays round. So I know something my crazy grandpa taught me because he was neurotic. It doesn't matter how the hose looks, man. Not to some people. My wife thinks I'm insane because if the hose ain't perfect, I'm talking to her about it like she's the grandkid. Who's the dick?
Yeah.
Me. The hose doesn't matter, right? But I think she's working for me, so it matters.
Yeah.
If I need it done right, I should have went and done it, sort of, right?
Yeah.
But you are working for him. And what he's trying to tell you, and I'm trying to tell anybody that I'm arguing with when I'm talking about a job, is I think I know how to do it. If you can show me how to do it better, I will shut the fuck up. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you don't have a better way to do it, and you're not doing it my way, it's wrong. Right?
I get it.
So, he knows the right way he does things.
Mm-hmm.
He's been telling
Through
you that
experience.
forever. My grandpa wants that hose rod up because it's sitting in Florida in the sun. He wants to be able to take it down and use it anywhere he goes and it doesn't kink. His hose never kinks. He can water quicker. He gets it back on the reel. He's more efficient. My grandpa was the man. He expected things to work. There was no doing it half-ass. So he's teaching you that by the hardest lesson for you is him telling you to do something the right way. He don't even want to tell you. In his mind, he told you 3 times already. Now it's time to get loud. So it's interesting, right? I gave you the analogy earlier when you first came in the room. I can bark at you, and you might take it differently than he takes it. You might go, what's going on? And he might go, son, it's time to leave. Stomp's having a bad day. Right? And then he gets in the car and goes, we're not talking to him no more. He was crazy. Right? But you might be a little scared if I start barking at you, right? It's different perspectives. So we all learn different ways, is my point. But you have to know what he's teaching you is how he knows it for a reason. He ain't never doing it a different way.
Yeah.
He's already done it 10 ways that didn't work.
Yep. Most definitely.
Makes sense? It's it's interesting. And the lessons are vast. You're learning so much. You need to start writing down your skill set. You need to start working on a resume every day for you to be able to show to somebody and him one day. He's going to look at you and go, okay, son, I'm paying you way more. I got to pay you more. This is it. You're going to leave. Or, like, Discount Auto's going to pay you way more, or not Discount, but whatever, Midas or whatever. You go over there and learn how to weld and get $25 an hour or something right now. I don't know what you're paying them. But at some point,
Yeah.
there's going to be an impasse.
Hot wings is what I pay him.
Hot wings.
Yeah.
I pay him in hot wings. That's how I get them.
So, yeah, what's his best thing? What's your best part?
For working on a car or a truck?
Working for your car, working for your dad, working as a mechanic at this age. What's the best part?
I get to obtain the knowledge of actually working on the car itself.
Yeah.
I know more about it than somebody just like off the streets would know.
Yeah, you kind of feel a little special that you know something.
Yeah.
You feel different than your buddies in class?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like you can tell the difference between someone that's been taught how to fix the car and then someone that's been taught how to actually like fix it himself, like hands-on by himself.
You know, your dad makes comments all the time about seeing people talk about cars in restaurants and stuff, and they act like they know what's going on. They're just
and they don't know anything.
and they don't know anything.
You can't even change the damn tire, right?
And that's probably what you see a lot too with your friends.
Yes.
They talk about
Oh,
knowing something
man.
from a movie or something.
I have a buddy. He called me in the middle of the night. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. He says, I need you to come bring a jack, and I need you to bring a real big wrench because I can't get the tire off. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I already took all the 5 bolts off, but I can't get that middle one off. I was like, what are you talking about? So I'm like trying to explain to this dude, he's drunk. I'm halfway asleep. I'm like, no, like, that shouldn't be that way. So he's like, all right, whatever. So him and his buddy ended up sleeping in the car overnight at the gas station because they couldn't get the flat tire off.
Okay.
So they were finally frustrated, like, dude, like, how do I get it off? I was like, well, you have it in the jacket. Like, yeah. I just kick the shit out of the rim. It's probably just stuck on the hub.
That's it.
And that was it. So he ended up staying at the gas station overnight
God.
because of this.
So crazy.
And it's like, some people just don't have experience. Some people shouldn't even be driving, I think, sometimes.
Well, no, you're right.
Like, you shouldn't own a car. Like, you need to have a bus pass or, like, or have someone drive you somewhere because, like, no, like...
Right. It's funny.
Yeah.
All right, man, we're pretty much done. We got our hour done. Anything you want to say about the business?
Well, appreciate all the work I've been getting right now from all the people. It's tough times these days. hope everybody stays safe. Be kind to one another. I guess that's
Yeah, Jeffrey's always trying to be a real positive person, trying to light people up.
I have my days, man. Everybody has their days.
Well, it gets frustrating, man. But to me, you're always fun and you're always having a good time, and that's important. You're not dragging people into your mess if you have one. That's important.
And I've already, like I said, I've already learned to just live life and be happy, man. You can't if you're not happy, then no one else around you is gonna be happy.
Yeah, that's kind of my best advice to anybody: is love yourself first. Right? It sounds weird, but if you're doing what you need to do,
you can't love yourself. You can't love nobody else, and you can't love your life unless you love yourself first.
Yeah, it's got to be the number one priority, right?
Yeah.
So if you're around somebody that's not treating you right, get rid of them. Love yourself first. If you're not eating well, start eating well. Love yourself first.
Yeah, or even just being in bad situations. Shit, man.
Look at yourself as a whole from the outside a little bit. Like, am I doing best for me? And if you're not, you have to wonder why. Because that is the goal.
Pros and cons, man.
It is the goal, is to get better and better.
Yeah.
I think we're going to call it a day at that.
Right on, man.
Stomp Strong. It was another great episode. I had a blast. STO Auto Repair. What's the garage work called?
Already Garage Doors.
Already Garage Doors. STO Auto Repair. And Junior is working on figuring out his life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fun times.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.